What innocent opinion divides your country in two camps? Starting in the UK, chippy sauce or ketchup on fish and chips. I don't even know what chippy sauce is. Combination of malt vinegar and brown sauce. The hell's that? Whether to keep your toaster in the cupboard or not. There we go, Ireland. I am anti-cupboard toaster. I put that thing on the counter. I do put batteries in the refrigerator, which I'm sure other countries would find weird. Some of these are so deep into the lore of each country that I don't even really understand at all what's being said here. How should a potato salad be made? Why is that Germany's #1 thing? The pronunciation of November in Latvian. And we clearly have some very intense topics right here. Should you put ham on cheese or the other way around? Or cheese on ham? This is probably hilarious to some Europeans, and I'm just like, what? I'm noticing that a lot of this has to do with food. Food is the big one that people are trying to figure out. Food and drinks divides people. I'm assuming because the people that are leading these debates are usually grandmas, and you know they be getting real intense about their food making. The most common means of transportation to work by county in the USA. I saw a whole lot of people just getting mad about this on Twitter. I mean, is that really a surprise to anybody at this point? I mean, they're always getting mad about something. But it is pretty crazy that in almost every single county in the lower 48, the #1 transportation mode is to drive, except for, of course, New York. Oh, it's actually not just 1, 2. It looks like there's like 3 or 4 right here. So this is the only place where a majority of people use public transit to get to their occupation. Okay, just to start off though, at least as of the western side of the US, the population density is just like all over the place. I mean, there's only like 500,000 people that live in Wyoming, supposedly, if it even is a real state. So like just driving in general is just so ingrained in the culture out here. I am a little surprised that more of the Northeast doesn't somehow commute to work through public transit or something. Like what's going on in Boston? How are they not doing that here? The only outlier by far is Alaska, which in red means they walked to work. You're walking outside in Alaska? That seems like a pretty bad move. You're gonna get snatched up by a polar bear or just caught in a blizzard. This one county's the only one that uses taxis for the most part. I think Alaskans are kind of forced in this situation because literally all their infrastructure is covered in snow and ice at some points. Oh, apparently if you take a closer look though, some of the very small counties do use public transit, like San Francisco and DC, or maybe this is actually 2018 data or something. I would love to see this map get a bit better. I mean, this is pretty drastic, but for the most part, I think even if you had the greatest public transit system ever, I think the US is destined to be mostly green just because of how rural a lot of these areas are anyways. The world's most obese countries. In the red, we have countries with over 30% of the population considered obese. North America, really out here in front. Canada, the USA, and Mexico? Wombo combo. Then in Europe, we really just have the UK, Ireland, Czech Republic, Hungary. Wasn't expecting this region to be on this list, to be honest. South Africa as well. Also, thank you for moving New Zealand in its proper location, just off the coast of the Philippines. Where are my Pacific Islands at, though? I know there's a lot of Pacific Islands that would probably make this list as well. What is that stat that in 2050 they say half of the US population will be considered obese? Right now we're at 36.5%, so we're getting there. Also just realized that almost all these places were formerly a part of the British Empire. Could English be the linking factor? Where the television license is required in Europe. I don't even know what a television license is. I guess it's a payment required in many countries for the reception of television broadcasts or possession of a television set, where some broadcasts are funded in full or in part by a license fee paid. Okay, so I'm assuming we do not have that in the US. Sometimes they're not called a license though, sometimes it's just like a fee or a tax. But in a lot of Western Europe, this is a thing. France, the UK, Britain, Germany, Poland, I would have never known this. In Italy, Greece, and Turkey, it looks like they tack on a fee on the electricity bill. And for these red nations, it's not required at all. So that's like the US system. This is like one of the very few times where like they have data on like the former Yugoslavian states, but then also some of them are with Western Europe and others like Serbia are with the rest. Weird just to see this area divided. This is really starting to send me down a rabbit hole of things that we have for free in the US that we might take for granted that aren't free in other spots in the world, like washrooms. 20 places where tourists actually have to pay to use the washroom. Sometimes they aren't countries, sometimes they're just cities, so I guess in Paris, France, you might have to do this. Oh, even in London. I didn't expect that in London. For some reason, this just seems like a bad idea. Oh, you might have to do it even in New York. I've been to New York. I didn't have to use one of these. Germany, just as a whole, at least in the larger cities, you'll have to pay. I'm sure this isn't like strictly across the board. It's just you might have to pay. Still, it seems just kind of like a bad idea to possibly defecate on the side of a wall in a dark alley. Africa's plans for a transcontinental road network. Didn't even know it had this plan, but this goes in line with our like commuting thing we were talking about the US. At least they have something they're looking forward to. I don't think the US is thinking about any of this stuff. So they have one line that they plan to take you all throughout the northern coast of North Africa, from Egypt to Dakar. Then there are some lines that are moving through the Sahara Desert. That's going to be fun to build. Look at this one red line line planned to go from Cairo all the way down to Cape Town. How long do you think that would be? Like a week? I'm gonna assume that these are not bullet trains that they're gonna build. I think those are just roads. This is the current map of African railways, which is already built. So they've already got a lot of progress made, especially in South Africa. I mean, really, this is kind of close. You just gotta get these inner countries to start doing some stuff. Kind of depressing that some of these places are just completely avoided, like South Sudan and Somalia. Kind of curious if they're actually gonna name these things with these specific numbers. You think they're gonna go with the Californian tactic, like you're gonna take the 9? I think we're the only state that adds the in front of our highways. The 5. Population percentage increase from 1960 to 2020. So let's just start with the big one. Over 200% in Turkey. How did they literally double like that in only 60 years? There are only a couple negatives on the list. Bulgaria happens to be one of them, and Croatia by -2%. Hungary just barely eked it out in the positives with 0.2. What's going on in Spain and France? These are huge increases, at least compared to Germany and Italy. Germany wasn't even a complete country back in 1960. How are they not like way bigger than this? Is this considering like Western Germany and Eastern Germany? Gotta love Luxembourg with over 100%, cramming even more people in this small little area. Oh, Latvia is also in a negative. Estonia increased, Latvia decreased, and then Lithuania basically stayed the same. Weird to see the Baltics all over the place. Ukraine is only at 4%. How do you do that though? Because Ukraine also wasn't exactly a place back in 1960. I guess they could still look at the state, the Soviet state of Ukraine. Norway is the big winner out of the Nordic countries, 53% increase. Ireland finally got the potatoes back, so they're doing good. I'm gonna assume in the next 60 years we probably won't see these giant numbers anymore. I think a lot of these populations will plateau. Safety of walking alone at night. How safe do people feel walking alone in the streets? So this looks like it's just a poll asking people if they feel safe. Maybe not exactly if they are actually safe. Some of these places are real confident. Croatia, Slovenia, Switzerland. Others not so much, like Belarus, France, and Moldova. There's one very strange outlier in here. Why is France not that confident? I mean, it's not like Italy, the UK, or Ireland is much higher. Why do they have so little confidence? Sweden as well. Iceland's feeling real good, but they only really need to worry about the volcano going off up there. No one's gonna rob you when you're constantly under threat of like a lava flood. I don't even know if it's that big of a deal, I'm just saying. The Russians aren't afraid at all because like there's nothing scarier than a Russian walking alone at night. They can just handle themselves. They're not worried about some mugger. How affordable is gas in Latin America? Percentage of average daily income for 1 liter of gas. Percentage of average daily income? Whoa, 12% from Nicaragua. Ooh, I actually pronounced it correctly, I think, right there. So if you make $100 a day, a liter of gas would be 12 bucks. And that's just one? The Dominican Republic also pretty high, with Brazil as well. Paraguay, El Salvador. And the lowest on this list are Bolivia, Puerto Rico, which is a US territory, and then Venezuela. I was gonna make a joke about that, but it seems like Venezuela's doing all right. I mean, at least when it comes to this. And I guess according to this same site, if you were to put the US on this chart, we'd be at 0.5%, which is crazy because I feel like I'm paying a lot of money for this gas out here. How to recognize the artists of paintings. If the images have dark backgrounds and everyone has tortured expressions on their faces, it's Titian. I really hope that's how you pronounce that name. If everyone in the painting has enormous butts, then it's Rubens. If all the men look like cow-eyed, curly-haired women, it's this guy, Caravaggio. If everyone looks like hobos illuminated only by a dim street lamp, it's Rembrandt. If the paintings could easily have a few chubby cupids or sheep added, or already have them, it's Butcher. Here we go, here's the Ninja Turtle. If everyone is beautiful, naked, and stacked, it's Michelangelo. Finally, if everyone, including the women, looks like President Putin, then it's Van Eyck. Wow, they literally do. That's crazy. He predicted the future of the Russian president. Capital names with 3 words in it. These are the only capital cities in the world with 3 words in it. Port of Spain in Trinidad and Tobago. We have one here in Haiti as well. Port-au-Prince. I don't even know how you pronounce that. Port-au-Prince. How are you using 3 different words in your city-state capital, Andorra? This seems a little ridiculous. Sri Lanka also has a really long one. I will never be able to pronounce that for the rest of my life. And then finally, Brunei. I've literally never asked in my life the capital names with 3 words in it, but I'm still glad and grateful that I got to know this information. A chart mapping countries with drinking and regret. What a great combination. The x-axis is times they were drinking. The y is the percentage of times regretting the drinking. So New Zealand doesn't drink much, but when they do, they definitely regret it. They are the most common. Wait, Mexico? I didn't expect to see you here. So is this technically saying that these people are making poor decisions, or are they actually just like really good people and they feel bad whenever they drink? They're like, I shouldn't be drinking, I should be working or something. I guess either one works. Here's people that don't drink much and don't have much regret. It's Germany, Switzerland, Belgium. All right. I would feel like Germans wouldn't have much regret of this, but they don't do it that often. Times drunk per year. Oh, it's not just drinking. I wonder if it says something about like just the culture. Maybe they didn't do anything bad. They just didn't like to present themselves in that state in public, and the Germans were totally okay with it. Maybe, I don't know. The Australians out here getting plastered at least 27 times out of the year. They do kind of mostly regret it, at least like 24 out of those 27. Here's the US and the UK. They're pretty close together. Finally, there's Finland and Denmark that just don't care. Nope, we gonna do whatever we want to do, and we're gonna have no regrets. That's the YOLO lifestyle I like about the Nordics. I'm assuming Russia isn't included because this chart wasn't able to go to x-axis 100 down here. The way the Animaniacs animators completely butchered Michigan. I didn't even really notice this. I mean, they did butcher a lot in the little map video that they did. I would have never realized this, but they destroyed Michigan. Clearly, whoever animated this must have been from Ohio. Total number of chess grandmasters in Europe. I knew instantly it was probably going to mostly come from Russia. This was such a big thing in Russia. 227 grandmasters. How exactly do you become a chess grandmaster? Just win the tournament or something? Oh, you have to achieve a rating of at least 2,500 at any point in the career, but you do hold the title for the rest of your life, and you just have to do it once. Can I become a grandmaster just by beating a grandmaster, like at a certain point? Like maybe I can get the grandmaster to just drink a lot and then just play him real quick, maybe blindfold him too, just get my dub and get out of there. Germany and Ukraine really competing for that second place spot along with Bulgaria. So this seems like a really popular thing more in Eastern Europe, or maybe like they're just more dedicated about it. Serbia with 54. Really liking these countries that are like randomly really big into this. Turkey, not much of a fan, as well as with Switzerland, Austria. There's an okay amount in Western Europe, Spain, France, the UK. Is this no data or they have 0 in Ireland and Portugal? Gotta bring home at least 1 somehow. I want the world map version of this. How many does the US have? I guess you do have to consider population. This chart maps these countries according to per million. So Monaco is doing really good percentage. 77 people out of a million are a grandmaster. That's amazing. But Monaco only has 3 grandmasters. Russia, though they have 227, have a very large population, so they're at like 1.5. In the US, we only have 94 grandmasters, which would put us pretty low on that list, considering we have like 300 million population. Yeah, we're getting destroyed by the rest of the world.
And big thanks to the Christmas patrons,
AryanAfterHours,
Drew's Arab Sugar Daddy.
What are you doing, Step Drew?
Why am I doing this?
This is Gabe,
Stormtrooper 501,
Ride the Pie,
Mine Brothers 999
Nemo
X2,
Shiki,
McBlorf,
Max
Majestic
Cooper,
Unicorn,
LuxembourgLover,
Ivan Lima,
I Love Marx,
Drew's Argentinian Grandpa,
Dalton D,
Cybernetic Ghost of Christmas Past from the
BringBackPolandball,
future,
Barnsky W,
and for His Excellency, King Corey.